Hi guys, welcome back. In today, let's try that again. Hi guys, welcome back. Today's pose breakdown is focused on lotus and half lotus. Now, lotus pose is a pretty ubiquitous yoga posture. You see it all the time in yoga pictures, yoga advertising. However, it's a tricky pose. For me, it is not a pose that my body feels very comfortable in. I can, kind of force it into, but that's not, to me, what yoga is about. So that's not a pose that I personally practice. But I did want to mention it and talk about it a little bit because it is a pose that a lot of people recognize, and it might be a pose that you personally feel really comfortable in which case, have at it. Oh my God. Max, you're so distracting. So the first pose I kind of want to dive into, and one that I do feel relatively comfortable in, is half lotus or Ardha Padmasana. So for half lotus, you come into a cross-legged position and then take one leg. I'm going to take my right leg and bring that right ankle up towards the left hip, or vice versa, whatever you feel comfortable in. And it might be fun to kind of play around with what side feels natural and what side feels really weird. You'll probably notice that one side feels a little bit more open than the other. Maybe not, we're all put together differently. So here is half lotus. Now, a couple prop options that you can play with. You can bring a cushion or something underneath the seat to give the hips a little more lift if you like. Or, like me, if you find that there's some space between that knee and the floor, you can bring a block, a cushion, or folded blanket underneath that knee so that hip can relax a little bit more. Now, something just to be aware of, and this may or may not bother your body, but I like to kind of keep tabs on it. The lifted foot, I often find the ankle will sickle in just because, the leg's relaxing there. So what I like to do in half lotus, so it's a little bit less of a resting pose for me, is to kind of press the outside edge of that lifted foot down into my leg a little bit, just to kind of neutralize the ankle a little bit more. And for me, that feels a little bit better on my knee. So for full lotus, you would do the same thing with the other leg, crossing so that your ankles are moving towards your hips. Now, if that is a pose that works fine in your body, then definitely try it out, play with it. If, like me, maybe it's not really the most comfortable way to sit, to me, it's just not worth potentially damaging the knees, the ankles, or the hips when there are so many other options for a seated position where, the body can be a little bit more comfortable and supported. But again, that's just my own personal yoga philosophy. So you can play with this half lotus. You can prop up underneath the knee if it's lifted. If full lotus feels comfortable, then you can play with that. And just like any of the other seated poses, I'll have the links when they're up, if they're up, down below for the other seated pose breakdowns that I've done. The seat settles down towards the floor. Crown of the head lengthens up towards the ceiling, but the chin stays level, so the back of the neck stays long, creating as much length through the spine as is comfortable for the body to maintain without tightening through the shoulders, without clenching the jaw, so soften the face. Relax the shoulders out and down as the chest lifts, legs soften, arms relax by your sides. And you can take a few breaths here, see how it feels in your body. If you're experimenting with a half lotus, you can play with what it's like on the other side. Same with full lotus, actually crossing the legs in the different directions to see what feels better for you, or maybe to sprinkle both into your practice. I hope that you enjoyed this video, a little cameo from our Mr. Max. I hope that you found it helpful. If you have any questions, if you have any prop options that you know of for half lotus or full lotus, again, because they're not poses that I practice very often, I know less about them. So if you have any, please leave them in the comments below. And I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Namaste.